この番組はご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りします。Alrighty, welcome everyone. I'm Teeaboo and I am here for Flip Flappers episode 6. Last week's episode was spooky? Let's just call it spooky and leave it at that. It was a pretty interesting episode, and I want to spend a little bit of time this morning talking about it because, well, I'll just start where I'll start. I think I did a good job in last week's episode on picking up on various threads of symbolism and like threads of authorial intent, but I didn't do a very good job of weaving them together into anything that actually made a pattern or made much sense to me. I think the core crux of the thing, or like the central thread, if you will, for me is the cut lilies in the vase on their nightstand that never wither but also never bloom. And what I did get was this idea of frozen Yuri, or frozen romance in general, because it's something that I think about relatively frequently. In romance anime, it's pretty common to drag out the will they won't they for as long as possible, partly for ulterior motives. Like, if that's the core of your story, then that's what you keep going, and you don't resolve the core question of your story. You got to keep people interested. So I think this idea of frozen Yuri is pretty rampant in the anime and manga industry, and I think in media in general, and I think it extends to romance as a whole. But from what I've seen and from those pieces that I've read, it's a lot more common in like in queer leaning media to not actually have anything happen. And that seems to be a bit of the thrust of the criticism of episode 5 of Flip Flappers. We have this entity that is the environment that they're existing in, that appears as this mass of faceless girls, high school girls, the type that might be fujoshi, who might be really interested in watching something like this voyeuristically. And that's exactly what they do over the course of the episode. They voyeuristically and continuously watch Papika and Kokona as they interact, even going so far as to have a pair of eyes, very literally, in their bedroom where their most intimate moments might occur, just so that the entity, whatever it is, can observe this thing occurring, although it never does. And as they go through their iterations of the loop, they get closer and closer and more intimate and more intimate, but never really comes to any kind of fruition. And meanwhile, all of these sort of demure-seeming, very polite girls who are a faceless, horrifying entity continue to watch them and chatter and whisper and gawk. And that's creepy. They are the audience, and our two main characters are merely players on the stage, acting out for their own for the entertainment of the audience. So, yeah, that's a pretty interesting reading, and I want to shout out all those people who threw their readings of this episode either in the comments or on the Discord. It really helped me figure out what I was trying to weave together from the bits and pieces of symbolism that I did pick up on. The whole element of when the clock strikes midnight, everything resets. I had a thought about that, considering that that anime seasons are 12 to 13 episodes. You could say that like by the time we get to the 12th episode, either something happens or the show dies. Could be an interpretation, but that seems like a bit of a stretch. The one element of the previous episode that I still really have no clue about is the death sequence. I really don't understand that one, unless my little theory on like 12 is the magic number and you have to have something happen or something on the final episode, or everybody pretends you don't exist and you die. I really don't understand otherwise what happened there when they both go out and then are just covered in blood and dead, and then we wake up the next morning. It was very strange. But that's like kind of the first half of the episode, or maybe the first 2/3, and then the second 2/3 occur when Yayaka begins to sort of inform Kokona that she's in a very dangerous spot and probably shouldn't be here, and she and her partners are here much safer than Kokona and Papika are, because they seem to be strongly aware of the danger and are gunning for the Amorphous, or whatever the hell it is that actually runs this place or powers it or makes it fun. I don't know. I really don't know. So we end up in the clock tower and we do some really cool things, and there's some fighting and stuff. And we drop a bunch of interesting lines that hint at some interesting things, like we're just wired differently, which I think I focused enough on. Built differently, all that jazz. And that was pure Echo. This really, now that I see it from that perspective, it's a really pointed commentary about the nature of romance in serialized media as a whole, but specifically Yuri romance, and a kind of a statement of, no, we're gonna buck the trend. This is gonna be different. We're self-aware and we know what we're doing, and we're trying to formulate and create a real relationship between these characters, even though they live in these varied, fantastic, insane worlds. I think that's pretty cool. Okay, so that's pretty much my piece on the previous episode. There's a lot more that I could go into in more depth, but I don't want to spend too much time on it. We spent a few minutes on it. That's good. Next up, Pure Play is the name of the next episode. So we go from Echo into Play. We're sticking with these are potentially buttons that you could find on like a mixer or a sound engineer's table, board, desk. I forget what it's called. Panel. I don't know. Switchboard. I don't know. Sticking with that kind of theme for the episode titles. Don't know what to expect in this one. We did accidentally kind of see that the art girl, the green-haired art girl, is going to be playing some kind of a role in the next episode, which is interesting, because I'm curious about her. And I mentioned this, I don't know when I mentioned it, I think it was 2 episodes ago, but like, of all the characters that have been introduced so far that have speaking roles or are color coded for your convenience to be like major characters, Art Girl is the only one who doesn't have a clearly defined like purpose in the story yet. Both of the twins have their purpose. They work for Asclepius cult or whatever it is, and they work with Yayaka, but they're not really close to her, and she sort of works as a solo agent. Yayaka goes to school with Kokona and Papika, but she also holds this secret that she's an agent for the Asclepius cult, and she's doing it for her own reasons that may or may not be valid or not, but world conquest is what she's told us. All of the characters that we met so far have some kind of purpose, even Grandma, she's there to be Grandma, and maybe more. Except for Art Girl. We don't know anything about Art Girl. She just struck up a conversation pretty randomly with Kokona one day when Kokona happened to stop and stare at a painting on the wall, a very spooky painting, which just so happened to not exist in the world of the Gokigen Yo girls. So, but we don't have anything to go off of on Art Girl yet. I don't even know her name. I just call her Art Girl. So maybe we'll actually find out her name in this episode. I don't know. But this episode is going to figure her in. Maybe we'll get some more insights onto the paintings type stuff. Maybe we'll use the art as a window into understanding the artistic license or artistic decisions that are being made in the world that we actually observe. I don't know. It's art within an artistic medium. It can do fucking anything. Let's watch it and find out what the hell they decide to do with it, shall we? Okay, so I've got episode blah, 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 blah. I almost said I've got episode flip flap of 6. Jesus, I've almost got I've got episode 6 of Flip Flappers up and ready to go. It's at 0 seconds. There will be 2 versions of this reaction. You can find a picture-in-picture version with the video up there in the description. Timer-based version will be up on YouTube. If you want to do a synchy thing with the timer version, you can totally do that. Just get your copy ready because the beep beep timer to count you down will be coming at you now. That's a brain in a jar. Is that Buchan's brain? It probably is. I can see why she wears the headphones. All right, he is collecting them in a case. That's very Maho Shoujo-y. There's ominous music here. That's fair. So all of them, no matter what. I mean, that was a conflict-laden conversation, but Okay. Okay. I can't do that, okay. Okay. I can't do it. Oh, we're back. Okay. Will we get anything new this time, or is it all gonna be just the same? Thanks. Hello, Grandma. Seems that way. Don't tell her. Okay. There was nothing to be creeped out by there. That's appreciated. Oh, giving snacks to... Oh, hello. Did you bring me a poisoned apple? That's Snow White, right? Irodo... Irodo... If that's her name, it would be probably Irodori, right? Irodora... Ma... Iridomi doesn't sound right. Irodori sounds like a name. Okay. Used as paint thinner. I don't deserve to. Oh, she painted them with oil paint. Oh, yeah. Where's Soruto? What? Oh. Uh. Oh. Awesome. That's fucking teamwork. That's a weird eye monster. Is it an intentional Ava reference to the weird spider thing? I don't know. Oh, hello. Motherfuck. Bruh. All right, so we're showing that their conflict is ongoing and it's happened. This has happened more times than we've seen. Uh-oh. Whoa. Okay. So they can travel anywhere, but they can't transform. That's important to know. What is that? A rock with a rope tie? What? I wouldn't trust it. Okay, a portal just appeared. No idea where it goes. Uh-oh. Okay. So we are stuck in we don't know where via a portal to we don't know where. What? And it tears us apart. And the portal appeared to come once they interacted with that rock with the rope around it. Is that Papika crying? No. It's little coconut. But this isn't real. Iro do something, Chan? Is she currently art girl? How does that... Alright, and where's Papika? That's pretty cute. But this isn't real. At all. Alright. Her interest in art. But her shame at it. Because you draw imagined places, imagined things. Oh. Aww. The goodbye note. A little different, but that's okay. Yeah. And that's all that matters. Aww. Aww. Time. 7. Abusive family. And we don't see the other place. Real nail polish. Mm-hmm. She drew a bunch more for her. Nah. Aww. Alright, something's gonna go horribly wrong now. She doesn't want these two worlds to collide. This is the chance that she has to be happy. Home is bad. Nope. Nope. Mm-mm. Nope. Nope, nope. Why are you still sepia toned when everything else is blue? Something's wrong. Nope. Oh my fuck. What? But Yuriro. Orange and blue. Switch with Eero. Eero. They're both inhabiting her, but at different times? Oh my fuck. Whoa. Interpretation via the art. Via her lens. And that would be Buchan. Are they like conjoined or something? That's a butt. Bye bye. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's really what you care about? Well, grumble grumble. But this time without Boo. And learning to use the polish for the paintings. Yep, you sure told them. Needs to wait to rest. Oh. The forgetfulness. She's losing herself. Dementia, Alzheimer's. She's losing herself. And with that, Iro is losing the only place she feels safe. It seems. With the way mother and father were portrayed. Oh my god. She's not gonna remember her. Oh no. Oh no, no, no. She's got the pictures up. She's conflating things, yeah. More than you know. And the ticking clock in the background. Wow, out the threshold into blue, and her color scheme changes. This soundtrack, what the? Imperfect. Yeah. What are you focused on, Soruto? There's that. There's that bottle. There's the painting. A woman with lovely painted nails. So there was a material effect on the real world from writing the injustice built into Iroh's World of Illusions. Okay. So, we see the very first frame. The little Yotsuba logo. Okay. I want to go to the very end to see the title. And, damn it. Pure component. Okay, so I just went and checked to ensure that I was right about what I was thinking that component output or input would be. And it's video output, usually split into 3 cables, red, blue, and green. Usually. The cable colors themselves. Makes me wonder if we're going to team up with Iroha at some point or something. Because red and blue we can knock out with Papika and Kokona. Green, Iroha embodies, so maybe. Or maybe I'm just stretching and that it's not going to be like that at all. Okay, I wanted to get that out, and then I want to spend some time with this episode and think it over before I dive into like trying to piece it up, like tease the important bits and pieces apart from it. So give me a minute to organize my thoughts and go through the episode and make notes of the things that I want to talk about. So I'll see you in a moment. All right, welcome back. I've spent a lot longer than I thought thinking about this episode. Ended up essentially just rewatching the whole thing. And I've got some thoughts. First off, whoa. Whoa. Especially on like going through it again and sort of knowing where the story is going and realizing all the little bits and pieces that pointed in that direction and bring it on that way. Whoa. All right, so as we kind of expected, we ended up with an Iroha-focused episode. Iroha Irodori is her full name, though we don't get to know that immediately, but we can figure it out. But this is a story about broader concepts, as most of the Flip Flappers episodes have been. This is a story about neglect and abuse and trauma and not feeling safe in your own home. about finding an outlet, about making a connection with someone despite being from a different generation. Finding a place of warmth and life and love and support and care and comfort and praise. And then losing it. And worse than that, about being too afraid to confront the reality in front of you, too afraid to confront that loss, so afraid that you end up breaking the one promise that you care about, made to the one person that you care about. And it changes your life forever. This is Aroha's story, but it's a lot more than that. Okay. So we start off the episode here. Frantically working on Buchan in some way or another, with an extremely creepy grin. And we're given a little bit of an audience touchstone for how we should feel about this as she puts on her, I assume, noise-canceling headphones, and it's just like, nope. Nope. Don't want to put up with that shit. Soruto here opens up a padded jewelry box of sorts and places one more amorphous or fragment or whatever we want to call it inside. And I pick up on this being kind of, again, leaning into the Maho Shoujo-y things. It's pretty common in long-running Maho Shoujo for there to be like, collect a bunch of these things, and once we have 21 or 22-ish of these things, because that's about the midpoint of the year-long season that these Maho Shoujos go on, once we have 21 or 22 of them, something will change. Usually we'll get a different box and have to fill that one up with the remaining 20-some objects, because that's how we do. So this is a little point in the Maho Shoujo direction, but they're collecting pretty little crystals. So we ask the pretty innocuous question, how many do we have left, and give the pretty reasonable answer to him that, well, maybe we want to track our progress, know how close to our goal we're getting, how many are there, that would be helpful. Nope, just all of them. All of them, all of them. End of story, all of them. Ominous, Dr. Salt. Ominous. We get a number of little ominous Dr. Soruto moments. Yeah, and Kokona is not super happy with this answer, but this isn't super important as far as I can tell to the nature of the story that we're actually going to experience, so I don't know what to think about it, and that's okay. Find yourself back in this dream world. No idea what to think about it. Welcome back. Meets grandma. Could it be due to stress? Why you having nightmares all the time? I don't know. So, we end up here, right outside the art room. And in an echo of what is to come, Kokona is kind of worried about giving her these cookies, partly because they're kind of misshapen and not very great. And then Aroha kind of catches her off guard. We baked these cookies. And they're kind of, I mean, half of them are nice. I assume those are Papika's half. Kokona's half is not so nice. Okay. Then we get this moment as our gaze follows Kokona over to this fantastical painting that Aroha has created. We get a sense for her style, for her sense of things, for the way that she puts things together, and it's immediately reminiscent of some of the pure illusions that we've seen. It's colorful and vibrant. It's got a lot of contrast. The brilliant neon greens going into the bright pinks. The off kilter staircase that seems to loop and loop off into infinity, the doves that float around in the sky but also seem to be a part of it, and almost a crashing wave makes up the sky itself, the buildings that are off kilter and askew and strange and different and interesting, the splotchy blotches of color that she uses to create shape and sense and feel and objects and elements, but also depth and beauty. It's gorgeous, but it's also an abstraction. It's also weird. It's a little different. but it's also honed and intentional and careful. It's an expression of Iroha. And it's beautiful. So then we get this little piece of framing, Irodo. And that serves as our first hint as we move through. She makes a little jest, a little jab at the way that the cookie looks. It looks like a barnacle. And despite Kokona's what do you call it? Protests. Despite Kokona's protests, she chomps down on it and then says, where does she say it? Is it after this? What does she say? Come on. Sweet. It goes well with the tea. Supportive. And not judgmental. An echo of what we'll find her anti-character meant to her. Nice. Alright. And at the same time, or in the same sequence, Papika introduces another important element here. She smells the nail polish, and that's going to become critical for the story. Could it be the nail polish? Nail polish? I used some for a painting earlier. And then we get the most important line, I think, of the entire episode right here. I don't paint my nails, though, with a slow, very intentional zoom and a thoughtful expression, and then an ultra close-up on the eyes. I don't deserve to. Well, instantly our curiosity is piqued. Why would you not deserve to? What did you do to deserve the fate of never being able to paint your nails, despite using the nail polish for your paintings? That's interesting, isn't it? Well, don't sweat, because we will find out. She ends up painting her nails not with polish, but with oil paint, because she's a fucking goober. Okay. She gazes up to where Soruto is, and then we smash, bash, bang, boom, we're inside a pure illusion. It's over. Probably the most abrupt transition that we've had in Flip Flappers so far, I think. I don't think we've had one quite this abrupt, where we just, boom, jump into Henshin, boom, we're in a pure illusion. Usually there's some build up to it, but it's kind of like we start in media res in the middle of the episode, if that makes sense. We don't really need to know about this story, how they got to this pure illusion, what it consists of, what the monsters within it are, why they're fighting it. We know why they're fighting it and all that. We have the expectation that Yayaka and the other two will probably show up and try to compete with them to get the jewel thing. We don't really need to know any of that, because this layer of pure illusion is actually not important to the story. Although it is pretty, and the way that it is pretty is somewhat interesting. It's got some of the same kind of crazy colors and weird stuff going on that Iro's art does. But mostly, this is just fun times. Cool fights, big explosions, we get to see our girls working together, and there are some elements of this world that are extremely painterly and do use the exact same color scheme as Iro's. The same greens and pinks, the same blues, the same kind of stuff, but it's even more abstract and weird. And then there are these painted out shapes that are almost Gekidan Inukuri-esque in the way that they look like oil paint on weirdness. It's very strange and very cool. All right. There are a number of cool cuts which occur and are very neat. I didn't really spend much time writing down the cool cuts, though. Probably should have. They're like, what? Just awesomeness. Lots of awesomeness. And that's really crazy cool. Yeah. But we get knocked down a peg into a hole. I love the way that Buchan is animated when he goes through the hole. He just sort of like spring. That's awesome. Well, I like that a lot. This little moment here where she sort of gears herself up for taking off into a full run. Ah. And then bursts forward. Awesome. And they have a little conversation about transforming, which is interesting. I love the way that they make their way down this mountainside or whatever it is. It's pretty neat. Okay. But anyway, as we're exploring our new digs, our new location, we find this stone. And this intrigued me because it seemed a little bit familiar, and I wondered if there was any, like, cultural significance to a stone with a rock tied around it. So I googled Japan stone tied rock, and I found everything that I wanted to know. Turns out that these stones with a rope tied around them are known as tomeishi, or stop stones, and they indicate no entry. They're commonly used in tea gardens to indicate a particular path that you shouldn't go down if you're following. I forget what the word would be. Doing things right, whatever. They mark paths that you wouldn't go down, but they're soft boundaries. You have to know that they're the boundary in order to that's what they mean in order to be stopped by them. Otherwise, you might just be interested in this strange rock with a rope tied around it. And they're also known as Sekimori Ishi, which is a little bit more serious. They're boundary stones, and I like that one a lot. Stop stones, no entry stones, boundary stones. And what we discover is that this stone is precisely that. It is a warning of no entry, and it is a boundary between two different pure illusions, one of which more accessible, more open, more closer to the real world, one of which buried deep down with a warning sign, no trespassing, essentially is what this stone means. Don't come here. Don't look here. And we have to wonder if pure illusions are creations of the minds of individuals, which they seem to be to some extent. This may be Iroha's initial layer of her subconscious mind. But tamped down beneath it, buried an entire layer below, marked with only a warning sign that marks its position but warns no one to trespass, including the person who placed the stone there, is another world. A scarier world. One that's been repressed and suppressed and buried deep, deep, deep down. And that's what they've come across now. So, after investigating the stone, a doorway appears. Whoosh. And it's big and scary and intimidating. It's not a door that invites you in. It's a door that promises horrors beyond. And coordinates aren't showing. No clue where it is. They reach out and find themselves sucked within, and they lose the stone on the way. Damn. Then, reduced to just silhouettes, they are split apart. Their grasp on one another fades as each of them turns a different pure color. One blue, one orange. And these two colors will become absolutely critical to the storytelling of the episode as we move forward. But they are split, they are separated, and they will not see each other again for a little while. So, down they tumble, down they tumble, down they tumble, until we enter this world. And the immediate thing that's noticeable is that this world is bathed in that orange light. Or at the very least, Auntie's house is. At the edges of the screen, we fade into a little bit more of that blue coming in. Just a little bit. It's out there on the edges, but the indication is pretty clear. This place is glowing and golden and lovely and nice. It's like there's a spotlight on it, an angel ray from on high. This is a good place. And even so, we meet her at a low moment, crying. And it's Coconut, but it's not Coconut. It's Coconut Iro. And then we meet Auntie, the central character of this episode. Well, while this is an Iro-focused episode, it's around her memories of Auntie and the way that she interacted with her. And so that's what's important. Almost the first thing that Auntie tells her is, "You're good at this," supportive, pushing her forward. She makes a mess. Apologizes for it. Seems genuinely torn up about making this little mess while making snacks. More than she should, perhaps. But don't worry about it. Auntie is supportive. And that brings back Coconut Iro's smile. Buchan has been transformed into a little red flyer wagon, also gold, also warm and happy, and symbolic. The red flyer wagon itself, like a drag behind wagon like this, is a symbol of childhood and adventure and going out and gathering things in the world and bringing them back, or carrying things from one house to another, or carrying a friend around in it, or riding it down a little hill, or all kinds of things. Calvin and Hobbes have a little red wagon that they use all over the place, right? It means something. It's symbolic, and that's what Boo becomes in this world. Auntie has this very positive outlook toward everything. Coconut Iro is freaked out by the earthworm at first, and Auntie tells her that they're helpful for the environment, and suddenly Coconut Iro is into earthworms. They're cool, they're interesting, they're amazing. Whoa! She fosters Coconut Iro's curiosity and teaches her things about the world, and tells her to keep her eyes open, and tells her it doesn't matter if she makes a mess, and supports her creativity and her curiosity. Plays little games with the water in the tub. They laugh together when she sprays herself in the face. The whole world, this world, is bathed in this wonderful orange. And it's awesome. And then we turn our attention to the crux of the matter, the art, the drawings. Coconut Iro is invested in this art, but she carries some of the same fear around the messes and being creative and expressive. As soon as she realizes that Auntie's there in the room, she hides her art. She wants to hide it away. She's afraid. Okay, I've got notes. Hold on. Yeah. Shy about her work, afraid of a misstep. And we get the indication that Coconut Iro is a frightened child. And we can infer from this maybe the reasons. When a child or a pet is this kind of skittish, it implies problems at home. Strongly. A lack of acceptance, a lack of the same kind of comfort, a lack of the same kind of support system that she's getting here from Auntie. And so she's afraid, she hides her work. She's afraid of being chastised for drawing things that are weird, for not drawing normally. She's a little bit broken, a little bit traumatized. But again, Auntie is her rock. Unusual doesn't mean bad. Weird doesn't mean a problem. I like it. It looks good. Oh, but Daddy and Mommy called it weird. They told me to draw normally. Used to be a school teacher until I got too old and they made me stop. I didn't retire because I wanted to. Auntie is so alone, it seems. There's no one in her life except for Coconut Iro. No one. She says she never married. She never had kids. There's no indication of any kind of relationship. All she had was the children that she taught, and then that was taken away from her. And so here she is, also weird and different and looked down upon by the other people in the town, the ladies who whisper and gossip after they pass. It's sad. But the way she phrases this tells us that these children were her joy. And the way she's got this goodbye letter framed tells us that she really, really cared. And that perhaps she's getting a little bit of that back by having Coconut Hero around. I've lived all by myself, alone. It's the only one. Do you think I'm weird? Of course not. So why does it matter if some people think it's weird? I like the drawing. You don't think I'm weird? Then it's all okay. So she gives her the drawing. And it's lovely. But then we get a thematic echo of the previous episode. Striking clocks means something. It means an end of our time together. And so it's time to go home. It's not as brutal and immediate as the ending of the weird Gokigen Yo world, but it functions in the same kind of a way. The fantasy time is over. Snap back to reality. But Coconut Hero does not want to go home. And honestly, Auntie doesn't want to let her leave. She hugs her tight enough that she's squeezing the life out of her. She doesn't want to let go. And then we skip everything in between. Ominous. Time to go home. Whoa, we didn't go home. We just go to the very next day where she shows up again at the comfortable, warm place. Okay. Build up. Build up for what home will actually be. And it is nail polish. And the introduction of it. When you're bigger, once you're bigger. While she was gone, while she was at home, she was doing something. She was drawing. The only thing she can do. She brought all those drawings to here. And we get to see the impact that this has on Auntie. The tears in her eyes. The real love. And it's wonderful. Golden light, golden light. But then we pass by, and we notice the whispers. The whispers that they don't. Back to your house? No. I don't want to go home. Let's take a detour then. Ah. Okay, it's more than just that it's at the edges of the screen. It's that her house is right next door. Got it. That's why it's blue. Do you want to come back with me? Of course. Of course. But then the door opens. You have to come home. And so we step inside, and the threshold is beyond clear. And once we enter, the contrast is complete. Everything is blue. But Iro carries the warmth of her experiences with her, bottled up inside, creating a boundary around herself, not allowing herself to be consumed by the blue. The whole house is shot at these ominous, frightful angles. Scary. We open the door and reveal that Iro is not one but two, and not two but one. That she is split. One part stays home, one part goes away. Because the two cannot meet. There is no middle ground between the orange and the blue. No reconciling them. This strikes a chord with me. I've talked about my childhood and home life a few times, but this strikes a chord with me. I never felt comfortable or safe at home. When my parents were still together, they argued incessantly. Once they were split, well, things got worse and things got better. But I learned quickly that my life at school, my life in club activities, the things that I cared about were not something to reveal, not something to discuss with them. Because while they might be initially supportive, that information would be weaponized eventually and used to hurt me. School wasn't a cakewalk either. There were a fair share of your normal teenage problems. But it was a damn sight better than being at home. And when I was home, I did everything I could to lock myself away, so that I could do what I pleased. So this strikes a chord with me. Splitting yourself into two people. The one that is free when you're free and gets tamped down and hidden away when you're at home. To allow the other one, the one that's kind of a reed in the wind, that can take the... Well, there's no beating around it. They can take the abuse and bend under it without breaking. But you have to isolate some of the things you care about in order to make that reedy side resilient enough. Because if those precious things are a part of that side, then they'll break. And the whole thing will fall down. Separation of persona. For your own safety. Yeah. Yeah. Don't be infected by the gloom. So Kokona and Papika embody these two sides of Iro. And at the start, it's Papika in the blue, Kokona in the orange. Switch with Iro. And she does. Locked. Drawing. Alone. Blue. And we get our glimpse of the world outside. Of the house. And we see it through the lens of the sketchy, scrawly, scratchy, painterly. The lens of an artist. Warped and twisted as we look out. She tries to show her art to them. But this is the response. Mangled and abstract. Visions of horror. Go back to your room. Get out of our way. Do your homework. Don't be like him. They undulate and emote. It's almost... The animation style is very Yuasa-y, where there's expressiveness built into everything. It's crazy and abstract and weird and scary. The world itself is warped and twisted, perspective is off. This shot with her hand so big in the frame and then receding indicates that to us. The twisted walls, everything is not right. And so she runs. And so she runs. But the whole world is blue. Only being the other Iro can make things work. So she tries to force a switch. And they are both expelled from the illusory world, along with the gem. And they find themselves confused. Amorphous gone, taken, mission failed. But is it? Also, gotta give props to a good butt shot when you get a good one. That's a good butt shot. Nice butt. Okay. Enough of that. And they took it again. Want to head back? We can do this. Let's figure out what this was. Let's find some answers. No, we're not going to get an Amorphous out of the deal. But maybe we can figure some things out. I'm interested in seeing where this story goes. And so they agree. We were both Iro. Something's not right. We have to fix it. So let's go back. And back we go. Golden and golden. But the answers that we find are heartbreaking, aren't they? Auntie is looking in vain for something that's hidden in plain sight. That's always where it always is. And so Iro is losing her rock. At first, Coconut Iro is so happy to be able to help her aunt, because she doesn't realize what it implies. She just wants to be helpful. And she's overjoyed by the reward. Oh, painted nails. One painted nail. She might be berated for it at home, but she comes back here where she's safe. Then draws it up. Learns the technique of using nail polish on paper on canvas. And PiP Iro overhears the gossip. But can't really do anything about it. She just stomps her foot and keeps moving on. A moment to rest. I'm fine. But we see the tremor. A present and a promise. A birthday forgotten and re-remembered. The house is no longer golden. The world is all blue. Because it wasn't the house, it was the presence of the woman within. Even Boo is blue. And so, just as we saw her at the very beginning, she sits in this corner and cries. Blue. And it's not her auntie who comes. It's her parents. One of the sources of this color, of this feeling, of this sense. And so she runs and runs and runs. Runs until she collapses. Runs until she's picked up and brought to a hospital by someone. And there's an element of the goldenness here. Not quite as vibrant and pretty as it is when she's around Auntie, but it's there. Just a bit. And she sees her. She is thrilled. She crosses thresholds, crosses boundaries, and something is off. Auntie doesn't recognize her. That drawing didn't win a competition. It matters because Iro drew it. Auntie knows it's important, but doesn't know why. She's back to being a school teacher. And when she says, "I'm sorry, I forgot myself," something in me cracked. Because there's deep irony to that statement. Yes, you did forget yourself, and you're continuing to. Then we have my favorite scene in the episode, where the color scheme, or the paradigm that we've come to expect from the orange and the blue, it gets used to its full everything. Panic sets in. Auntie is there, but she's gone. She doesn't understand. The world teeters and flips almost upside down as she spins her way out of the room and emerges, the blue consuming her, herself becoming an aspect of it, and fleeing and running. And then everything is reversed. The world around her is fine, but now the sorrow is in her. Now the fear is in her. Now the pain is in her. It's all there. And so both heroes are blue. Please switch, please. And she cries. But that's not possible. We can't split ourselves into two people. We can try, and maybe we can mitigate some of our pain for a time. But eventually the truth is the truth. I am who I am. A person is a person, and however much you try, you can't repress everything. This trauma is part of us, part of I, part of me, part of who I am, part of what shapes me. I can't just live a glowing golden life and pretend that this part doesn't exist. But that's the status quo. And for the real hero in the real world, That's been reality forever. But Era Zero, there's only one. Why? Why? Not questions that can be answered. In a vacant chasm, Iro alone and Iro together. Remember the nail polish and the promise that came with it. If it ever seems like I forgot about you, just tell me your name. And there it is. The promise made with one painted nail. The promise that Iroha couldn't keep. The one that haunts her. The one that prevents her from integrating this part of herself. The one that prompted her to put a boundary between it, to tamp it down below another layer of her conscious mind, and keep it locked away. Something which hurts her more, because the truth is that there's a balance in this memory space. There's a balance between the gold and the blue, the good and the bad, the pain and the love. There's a balance between it. And by repressing all of the bad things about it, she repressed all the good things too. Including Auntie. And then there's this scene, and I don't know what it means. What's with the bridge? Bridge over a chasm being a symbol for a relationship? Makes sense. What does this one mean? I don't know. It strikes me as thin and maybe rickety, a dangerous bridge to cross. And it stretches between one portal and seemingly an empty portal. I don't know what it's supposed to be. But for the second time, Kokona and Papika affirm to one another that they want to do this. They want to carry it out. They want to follow it through. And so they do. But the world that they enter is even further from reality. It's crystalline. Almost as though it's a moment frozen in time, locked down inside of a crystal. The seed of a gem. And maybe it is. Maybe that's what these amorphous things are. But I don't know. They show up, they clasp hands, and in perfect harmony, they reintroduce themselves. Themself. And the light comes back into the world. The mission was a success. We did it. And Saruto is watching. But the bottle of nail polish is there. And Hiro is not. The painting she was working on is finished. And in the meantime, she's outside, looking out over the distance. And now she deserves to. Did it hurt? Yes. Absolutely. But it was worth it. The trauma and the way that she experienced it and the way that she climbed out of it and the way that she was helped to do that by this wonderful woman in her life, all of that is a part of Iro. And to cut it out, to lock it away, is a disservice to herself. And so now she is whole. There is only one Iro. And she is free. Wow. This is a good episode, yo. This is a good one. The visual language, the really clear-cut divide between the orange and the blue is excellent. The some of the sequences are so impactful. This episode is genuinely painful at points and incredibly heartwarming at others. I really, really like it. I like it a lot. So, one of the other things that I did while I took my little break, which was not a little break, it was a big break, was I looked at some of the staff for this episode. The script is by Yuniko Ayana again. Same script writer as the previous episode, as episode 5. So that's interesting. Storyboard on this one was Yuzuru Tachikawa, who you might maybe recognize as the director of both seasons of Mob Psycho. That's pretty cool. And then the episode director was Hiroshi Ikehata, and I couldn't find much that indicated like specific works of his that I could draw from for useful information. But good job to all of you, because I think this episode was excellent. It pulled some heartstrings that I have buried deep, and did it all within 20-some minutes really effectively. This was good. So, next week will be, what was it, Pure Component? I wonder if that will be a component of a system, or if we will add another character who will embody the green wire, or if I'm thinking way too much about audio tech and video tech and stuff, and it has nothing to do with any of that. I don't really know. Okay, we'll wrap there. I've been Teeaboo. This has been Flip Flappers episode 6. I hope you've enjoyed this one as much as I have, because damn, this one resonated with me. And I hope to catch you next week when we watch some more. See you there. Peace.